Good morning, students. Let us continue with our lesson 1. What is history? Page number 2, last paragraph. Ancient objects, structures, sculptures, pots, coins, inscriptions, copper plates, books, manuscripts, traditional stories, and songs remembered over many generations, etc., are the sources of history. The sources of history are of three types: material sources, written sources, oral sources. So, see, what are the sources of history? Sources of history are the ancient objects, structures, sculptures, pots, coins, inscription, manuscripts. So these are the sources of history. And how many types of sources of history are there? Three types of sources of history: material source, written source, and oral source. Now what is inscription? Inscription are the words that are written or cut on something. What are sculptures? Sculptures are carving done in stone, wood, or metal. Manuscript. What is meaning of manuscript? Manuscript is a very old book or document that is written by hand. Okay, the sources of history are of three types: material sources, written sources, and oral sources. In order to find out what happened in the past and how it happened, evidence available from all these sources is collected and thoroughly examined to determine its reliability. Reliability, its consistency. With the help of the evidence, that is proof, that stands these tests, past events are put in proper sequence and historical account is written. This is scientific method. So, with the help of evidence that stands this test, the past events are put in proper sequence, in proper order, and historical account is written, and that is called as scientific method. History and us. The study of science helps us to find the answers to many questions. For example, environmental science studies the problems of degradation of environment, pollution, etc., and looks for their solution. In the same way, every science has its own areas of study. History studies events of past. So, I have told you earlier, what is history? History is the events of past. History studies the events of past. Degradation means causing the conditions to become more worse. Individual or collective actions of human beings have consequences. Consequences result. They result in an environment that may be either favorable or unfavorable for the progress of the society. This affects our day-to-day life. For example, if the people of a village work together and help one another, the village makes good progress. However, if the people cannot come together, it puts obstacles in the way to its development. So, obstacle means barrier. If the people in the village work together, it helps for the good progress of the village. But if they don't come together and put obstacles, that is, some barriers, hurdles in the way, then it hampers the development of the village. History attempts to find out answers to many questions by studying the way of thinking of past societies and their actions and consequences. The study of history makes it possible for us to study what is and what is not favorable for the progress of human society. History thus provides us with the guidelines about how we should behave today in order to shape a good future. By telling us the life stories of great people, history also serves to inspire and to motivate us. By studying history, we get to know about the give and take that took place between our own and other civilizations. We learn about the progress of human civilization. We also understand how people's way of life went on changing. So, history tells us how we learn in history about we learn about the progress of human civilization. Every village, city, district, state, and country has its own history. Similarly, the earth, its mountains, water bodies, animal world, mankind also have their own history. Every science too has a history. It tells us of the many scientific discoveries that brought about important changes in the human civilization and of the scientists who make those discoveries. So science also has history in every the past and the future. The past, present and future are linked by a continuous chain of events. For example, the Indian people fought against the British government to get independence. This is historical action. So what this is a historical action. The Indian people fought against the British for independence. As a result, India became an independent nation on 15th August 1947. So we can say that the independence was a consequence of an action. It was a result of an action. That is the Indian people's struggle for independence. This was a result of an action. In this way, the events of today are linked with the past action. When we understand this, we realize that the future depends on past events. That is what we learn from history. For example, we learn that man begins to make tools from the materials available in nature, that he learned how to make use of fire, and that he invented the wheel. So, everything is dependent on the past, on the history. For example, how a man learns to make tools, how he has made tools from what the material that was available in the nature, how he learned to make use of fire, how he invented wheel. This is all dependent on history. The next generation added to these developments. Technology developed further hand in hand with the physical and intellectual development of man. The process is going on continuously even today. So, physical and intellectual development of man also took place, and today also the process is going on continuously. Inventions of today are only possible on the foundation of the discoveries and inventions of the past. So, the base is past. Whatever was there in the past, today those inventions are taking place because of the things that was found in the past. So inventions of today are possible on the foundations of the discoveries and inventions of the past. So you can see it in the picture, inventions and technology. See how in the past they were making fire and how now we are making fire. Okay.